Welcome to Community Talk, a public affairs presentation of the MSA United Way and Super Talk 1270. Now your host, Jena Gullo.
Good morning, Bismarck Mandan. I always feel like Robin Williams, in that movie. So happy you're joining us today. Also, a special thank you to Ms. Amber Jensen, the operations manager at the United Way, for co-hosting with me.
Good morning, everyone.
We've had a busy morning. We had a wonderful staff meeting. We have a small team of about 5 of us at the United Way here in Bismarck. We were talking about all of our summer activities. It doesn't stop, does it?
It doesn't. When you think you have a moment to breathe, something else pops up, which is really awesome to see. And we have a lot of exciting events coming up through the United Way this summer. And just prepping for the upcoming campaign season is going to be here before we know it.
Well, and a lot of people are helping us now, which is just fantastic. We have North American Coal that's hosting their first ever golf tournament to support the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is in Coal Country. So that's going to be June 30th, I believe, up in Washburn.
That is correct. And if you want to see some entertainment, Jenna and I will be golfing. So that in itself should entice you to want to come.
Free and entertaining, just to sit on the sidelines and watch us embarrass ourselves. But we do hope that you'll fill up that course, and you can contact us at United Way or contact Dave Straley at North American Coal. And then every year we have the American Family Golf Classic with American Family Insurance.
Yeah, that is going to come up Friday, July 24th, and we're going to be at Riverwood Golf Course this year. And thanks, like you said, to American Family Insurance Golf Classic for putting this on. It is $80 for the golfer. That includes your lunch, your cart, and then supper that night during the awards dinner. You can sponsor a team if you're interested, so contact Terry Kraft's office at 663-0293, and the whole sponsorship is $175.
Yeah, absolutely. And then our Women's Leadership Circle has just not stopped. They are in full gear. They had a fantastic social on Cinco de Mayo. Great turnout and people really raising their hand to get more involved.
Yeah, we have, for Day of Action this year, they are doing a community baby shower. And so they selected 5 agencies in our community to collect and gather baby items for. And so we'll be putting those baskets together June 23rd at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. And so if you're a WLC member and you want to help us pack that day, call our office 255-3601. Or if you're a business listening or an individual listening and you'd like to be a collection site for us, or if you'd like to sponsor a basket, call our office as well. We'd be gladly to run that bin over you to collect June 8th through the 19th for that cause.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are always looking for volunteers. Log on to volunteerbizman.com. At our staff meeting, we were trying to decide what in the heck we are going to do with this wonderful blessing of food that the realtors and some high school students and then Basin Electric collected for our United Way backpack program. And our staff is just amazing. They work so many extra hours. They volunteer a lot for our community. And we were really determining how can we make sure kids are being fed over the summer months, especially when they're not in school. So many kids in our community do rely on the free and reduced lunch program. So our staff raised their hand and they said, okay, we're going to figure out a way to make this work.
Yeah, and so we're going to be packing the rest of the food that we have in our office next week. And so I'll be watching our Facebook page, facebook.com/MSAUA, for those announcements as to when and where we'll be packing those bags and delivering them on Fridays to the parks in Bismarck and Mandan.
Yeah, and it's really important, especially with the local soup kitchens closing in the Bismarck area. We want to make sure that kids especially aren't going hungry during the summer months. It's so important for so many different reasons. We are also looking at possibly sponsoring feeding programs for adults in Mandan. It's nice that the Mandan Public Schools is raising their hand and getting involved in making sure that people have access to that very, very essential need. Speaking of incredible programs in our community, we have some great people coming up on our show. Later in the segment, we'll be talking with Pat Weinberg. She is the creator of Project Grow, so we're going to learn more from her. And then I have the pleasure of interviewing Katie Schaefer. Katie Haller, and I had no idea she had, what her new last name was, even though I'm sure you've been married for many, many years. But we're going to learn from Katie about the Regional Aging Services Program through West Central Human Services. And now we are going to be talking with Michelle Guyette. Michelle, you're the administrator of the Elder Rights Program for the Department of Human Services in the Aging Services Division. And before we start, Michelle, a quick shout out to Heather Stuffel, your person in charge, your PR lady at the state. Heather, thanks for organizing this show for us and really bringing such important community information out to our listeners. So thank you to Heather. So Michelle, tell us, what do you do?
I'm the Elder Rights Program Administrator for the state of North Dakota, and I oversee the Adult Protective Services Program. That's the main role that I serve in.
So with that, what are you seeing right now in North Dakota as far as elderly go? Are we seeing abuse, or what are our trends looking like?
We see a lot of self-neglect, and so we're looking at, poor living conditions. There may be hoarding in the home. They may not be able to take care of themselves as they should or manage their medications, things like that. We get a lot of reports on self-neglect.
And so who is considered vulnerable?
Well, adults are considered vulnerable if they have a substantial mental or functional impairment that affects their ability to live on their own or to provide for their self-care.
And so when you get those phone calls, how do you go about screening who you can assist, or how do you go about figuring out that process?
Right now we've started rolling out a central intake line, 1-855-462-5465, option 2. We have one person that's answering the phone calls, and she does a lot of our screening for us. So she takes all those calls and starts to make determinations if this is something we should go out and maybe take a look at. And so what she does is then sends it out to the field workers and says, hey, you might want to go do a home visit. And so that's the next step is, answering those screening questions and then doing a home visit to see what their environment is like.
Who are the people that typically make those phone calls?
It could be anyone from, a professional that's providing care in the home to law enforcement, emergency medical personnel. It could be a concerned neighbor. We do get those calls as well.
So let's repeat that number if there are any concerned neighbors out there. It's
1-855-462-5465, option 2.
Okay. 855-462-5465. Then you press option 2. That's so important for people out there because particularly people who might not have family members living close by, and they're not really sure who is checking on that person. And
right.
they care about them, but they're just maybe not sure what lines they're able to cross to be able to just provide that extra support.
We appreciate any and all calls that come in. I mean, we're gonna make sure we err on the side of caution and go out and put eyes on the situation and see if we can help that person to stay in their home.
Yeah, Michelle, we want to learn more about your program and what services are available for adults living in our community who might need that extra support. So can you stick around till our next segment?
Sure.
Okay, fantastic. So you are listening to United Way's Community Talk. I'm Jena Gullo, and we are going to learn more later in the program about Project Grow. We also have Katie Schaefer. Katie Schaefer is from the Regional Aging Services Program. And when you come back in just a couple minutes, you'll be hearing more from Michelle Guyette.
Right now, 64.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Welcome back to United Way's Community Talk. Thank you to Town Square Media and Super Talk 1270 and our producer of the show, Mr. Jim Walsh. We appreciate your support and allowing us this airtime every other week. You can find us here, Super Talk 1270 from 11 to 12. And before we continue with our incredible segment, I just want to say hello, good morning to my wonderful mother. She just turned 74 yesterday. She's listening to us from Western New York State. And a belated birthday to my father who turned 80 last month. So we are talking about elderly programs. And of course, I did not put my parents into that category. But we certainly are happy that these programs exist to make sure that all elderly folks in our community are cared for. And talking to us today, we have Michelle Guyette and co-hosting Amber Jensen from the United Way.
Good morning, everyone. Michelle, you mentioned in the last segment just some of the signs and things that people could be watching for. Can you repeat those again for maybe people that are just joining the segment?
Sure. So if you might notice there are changes in appearance or behavior. You might see that someone that was really social and talked to you a lot, like a neighbor, become withdrawn or they isolate themselves. You might also see physical things such as bruises or scratches, cuts or burns. They may wear clothing that isn't appropriate to the weather, so it's very cold outside, but they're not dressed warmly enough, or they are slightly unclean. You might see that they have unpaid bills, or they don't have any heat or water in their home. Those are some really common signs that we see.
And what should people do? Where should they call if they notice this of a particular neighbor or friend?
Sure, they can call our central intake line. It's, again, 1-855-462-5465, option 2. We also take email, and that's carechoice@nd.gov. And we also now have a new online reporting system. If they go to the website and www.nd.gov/DHS, and they click on the big blue mandatory reporting button, about halfway down the page, they'll find the new online reporting system.
So when you talk about mandatory reporting, are there some people who are required to report these types of concerns?
Yes, in our state law, we have a list of professionals that are required to report if they suspect that a vulnerable adult has been subjected to abuse, neglect, or exploitation, or if they observe a vulnerable adult being subjected. Also, anyone is able to report, though. It's not just mandatory reporters, so anyone can file a report.
So if I'm that non-professional individual and I want to learn how to do this, is there a training out there that I could take part in to learn how to be reporting these?
Yes. Sorry. On the same website, actually, we have a new online training for mandatory reporters, but it would actually be appropriate for anyone. It teaches you what to look for, what to include in a report. It talks about how to report and then how to fill out our form. So the form that you can fill out to make the report, or the online reporting, or just who to call in general.
So there has to be certain levels of reports. And you had talked about, well, if someone isn't maybe dressing appropriately or paying their bills. But are there more severe cases that you're seeing?
Yeah, there are cases, obviously, of financial exploitation. We're seeing that in oil country. I mean, I think everybody kind of expects that kind of stuff to happen. Unfortunately, we expect that to happen in that situation. We also see, we're seeing a slight rise in abuse. Not that I'm thinking there's more cases. I think it's just we're getting out there more and getting more education to the public, and it's causing them to make those calls. And, working with community agencies brings that to light. Always, though, if they're in immediate danger, people should call law enforcement or 911 first before calling us.
And so when they call your office, somebody, whether it's the neighbor or a friend or a family member, where do you direct them to? What services are out there for these individuals?
Well, and I think Katie will address a lot of these services when she talks, but we try to connect with community agencies. So if we go to the home, after they call and talk to our screening worker and it goes out to the field, when we go to the home, we try to see what are they in need of to keep them safe and to improve their kind of daily life in their home. And it could be that we get Meals on Wheels involved. It could be that we get public health involved to bring in, a nurse to do medications or some other kind of chore service, things like that.
And how are those services funded?
Well, our service is not at any cost. So vulnerable adults reporting services are no cost. It may be a slight cost if you're doing social services. They may have a cost to the services they provide in the home, depending on the income.
Well, and United Way provides a lot of funding, too, to programs that do the home delivery meals and the Burleigh County Senior Center, Mandan Golden Age. And I think it's really important to link people who might not know that these support systems exist to these different community centers, and also just give them that that opportunity to socialize and get out of the house.
Well, the goal I think now is to keep people in their home and to make sure that their home is safe and that they're receiving everything that they need to stay in that home.
How frequent do you receive these types of calls?
I was looking at some numbers before I came. In the past year, we took about 1,500 calls of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. And of those, about 800 caused us to go out and do a home visit, at least one home visit.
So if I'm calling to report a concern or express a concern, will I be notified that you've followed up in some way?
It depends on who you are. If you're a professional and we get a release, because they're adults, they do have a right to say who has access to their information. They also have the right to refuse services. So if they're in their home and they're fully capable of making those decisions and they say, you know what, I don't want anything, we do have to back out. It's not like Child Protective Services where they can, kind of act in a little more aggressive manner. Assertive, aggressive, whatever you want to say. So we do have to respect that right, being an adult. So if they say, I don't want you to call that person, and let them know, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm. And there's probably no way for you to really call family members of that person unless they give that approval as well.
There are ways we can work. We try to get collateral information to see, do they suspect that there's some kind of concern? Do they have concerns about what's going on with their parents in the home or their brother or sister? And we do try to gather that information to help us make really informed decisions.
Is there information, so if a family member maybe doesn't live in town, but they just want like a step-by-step, this is the first thing you should do. Should you try to intervene? This is the second thing you should do. And then thirdly, call Department of Human Services. Is there a recommended step process that people should take?
I think that you're probably right on. I mean, I think what happens is people come home and they visit with their parents and they start to see things that are concerning. And so trying to reach and connect with services, I think a lot of people try that first, but it's hard to know what's available. You were talking about that. It's really hard to find out what's available in the community. And so doing these things brings more light to what is here. And so, finding the ways to connect their family, but then also following up. So even if I talk to them about it, doesn't mean they're going to call. I think North Dakota has a real attitude of we're going to just do what we can and we're going to do it ourselves. That real, we can handle this. It's not that bad. So, making sure following up, and that's kind of what we do. We follow up to say, okay, so we did offer these services. Did they actually take them? And are they really, truly safe? Did they follow through?
Yeah, absolutely. We are speaking with Michelle Gayette. She is with the Aging Services Division. Michelle, what else do you want people to know about the work that you do and how to help others in the community?
I think, thinking of it, we just have to change our thought process in terms of protecting our vulnerable adults. We think about it with kids. Everybody always files the reports. It doesn't matter if they know for sure or they're kind of unsure. They do that to protect the kids. And I think we need to do that for adults as well. We really need to start thinking about protecting our older adults and preserving their rights to live independently and their rights to stay at home, and just changing that thought process. If you're at all concerned, file the report. It doesn't mean anything's going to happen or they're going to tell the person who called, but at least gets somebody aware of what the situation could be and maybe starts the process of keeping them in their home and keeping them safe.
And once again, what are some of those concerns that people should be watching out for?
You can look for signs like the change in attitude or appearance or behavior. So maybe they were really, really active before and all of a sudden they're not so active anymore. They may not be dressing appropriately for the weather. They could have cuts or bruises that are not explained, easily. Things like that.
Excellent. What happens in a situation, or does Aging Services help with people that just need like transportation to get to a doctor's visit, or helping with some of those additional services for elderly? Can you explain a little bit more about the entire Department of Aging Services?
And I think Katie's going to take care of that,
Okay.
But there are services available, that would help with some of those things.
Excellent.
And can people make reports anonymously?
Absolutely, they can.
That's important for people out there to know, especially if you are a good friend and a neighbor and you don't want them to feel uncomfortable or make them aware that you're the one necessarily making that phone call.
And I could follow up a little bit. We do have the same phone number that I've been giving out throughout my segments. The 855 number is also our Aging and Disability Resource Link, and so it would link them to services such as that. And that's
Perfect.
option 1.
Option 1. So if people are wondering what types of needs that can be met currently in our community, they can call 1-855-462-5465. We'll also be posting that on our Facebook page so people can follow up. And you can go online to our website at msaunitedway.org, where you will see a list of services for our elderly population in the Bismarck-Mandan. Michelle Gayette, thank you so much. Thank you for the good work you do, and for everyone at the Department of Human Services for caring for our elderly.
Sure.
So we are going to be talking with Let's see, Pat Weinberg. She's a creator of Project Grow, and you're going to be learning about gardening, recreational opportunities with friends. So make sure you stay tuned. And on our very next segment, we'll be talking with Katie Schaefer. She is a licensed social worker with the Regional Aging Services Program for West Central Human Services. So you're listening to United Way's Community Talk. Come back in just a couple minutes.
Right now, 64.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back. I'm Jena Gullo, your host for United Way's Community Talk, and co-hosting with me today is Amber Jensen, the Operations Manager at the United Way.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
You know, Amber, we've been quite busy at the United Way. We want to get even more people involved, talk about some upcoming events that we have going on.
Yeah, June 30th, we will be up in Washburn golfing with the North American Coal. They are doing a fundraiser for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, a longtime sponsor for that program, to help get kids in coal country reading and have those books in their hands at a young age. So that's June 30th at the Washburn Country Club. We also will be out golfing July 24th, the American Family Insurance Golf Classic, raising funds for United Way partner agencies, I think for the 16th year in a row. It's been a long time since they've been doing that event for us, and we'll be at Riverwood Golf Course that afternoon.
Well, and there are so many opportunities for businesses to get their employees involved and to really sponsor and support solutions in our community. We're now looking for people to help us pack and deliver backpacks during the summer months to kids who would otherwise go hungry over the weekend.
Yeah, watch our Facebook page. We're going to be looking at packing a lot of the food that we got donated from the realtors, from Basin Electric, from a lady at Century High School that helped run food drives throughout the year for our backpack program. And so next week, we're going to be packing the remainder of those items. So look on Facebook, MSA UWay, to get those updated information and see how you can get involved in our backpack program.
And, you know, as we were talking with Michelle Gayette, she is the Aging Services Division, the Elder Rights Program Administrator for Department of Human Services. And it's not just children that the United Way supports in our community. We have a large population of people over the age of 65. In fact, 13% of our population as of 2010 consists of people who are 65 years or older. And then we know that that's growing. It's going to be about 20% by 2050. So it's one of the largest, if not the largest, in the United States. And here to talk to us on how to prevent elder abuse, we have Katie Schaefer. I know her as Katie Halloran from days long ago. Katie is the Regional Aging Services Program Administrator for West Central Human Services. So, Katie, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Jen. It's good to see you.
It is so good to see you. We ran into each other at Nardalos, and now we're here today. It's such a nice surprise. So, Katie, tell us what you do.
Well, I work with the Regional Aging Services Office at West Central Human Service Center. I administrate programs that work with home-delivered meals in our region. We work with health maintenance services. And then I also administer the Family Caregiver Support Program, which provides respite services for full-time caregivers. And one of our main goals with aging services is to keep people in their home, and we want to support people as much as we can with that. I'm also the co-chair of the West Central Vulnerable Adult Coalition, which is a coalition here in town that meets on a monthly basis. And we work together with a lot of key players in the community that work with abuse issues related to the elderly, so that we can kind of collaborate, share ideas, support each other, and just serve people as best that we can.
So who is involved in that coalition? I know you kind of mentioned types of agencies that may be on there, but who is involved?
Yeah, we have on our coalition, we have law enforcement, Bismarck Police, Mandan Police. We have Department of Human Services. We have several of our staff from Aging Services. The North Dakota Attorney General Consumer Protection Division has several people on our coalition, and actually Peril Grossman, who is one of the staff over there, he is our co-chair. We have County Social Services, the North Dakota Securities Department, both of the senior centers in Bismarck-Mandan are involved, Legal Services of North Dakota, Public Health, Alzheimer's Association, Protection and Advocacy. There's Northland Care Coordination is one of our big players. We have several of the assisted living facilities in town that meet with us. And then anyone who's a concerned citizen is welcome to be a part of it. It's open to the public.
What are some of the primary concerns or issues that the coalition is looking at?
Well, our main focus that we've been focusing on the last few months is to raise awareness about prevention of elder abuse. We put together an information card that's available on the DHS website, and also we've sent it out in the community, and it's available. You can call me to get them out in your different agencies, but we have information. We just want to get the word out about how to prevent elder abuse, what to look for, and then where to call if you need help.
And so we are talking with Katie Schaefer. She is with the Regional Aging Services Program for the Department of Human Services. Katie, how can people get a hold of you?
They can get in touch with me. My phone number is 328-8787, and I'd be happy to give you more information about the coalition if you want to get involved, or if you would like some educational materials to have at your agency or to distribute to people that you know. I'd be happy to send those out to you.
And what is the website where you're talking about these prevention materials?
It's at nd.gov/DHS/services/adults-aging is where you can get it.
Perfect. We're going to put that on our MSA United Way Facebook page. We are at MSAU Way, so look on us there. That's a little bit easier to remember. And Katie, talk to us about this big day that's coming up.
Yeah, June 15th is Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and it's an international observance. And so we're joining in with many different communities around the world, actually, to have an event. Well, we have a couple events coming up in our region. We'll be doing an event at the Steele Senior Center on June 12th at 12:45 p.m. We have law enforcement involved, the North Dakota Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division, and then we have staff from Vulnerable Adult Protective Services who are going to be giving information to the public about how to prevent abuse and neglect, how to prevent financial exploitation, and then how to be, aware of personal safety and how to protect yourself in that way.
If I was interested in coming to this event, who is it targeted to? Is it something I'd bring my grandparents to, or is it for even those people that could just recognize signs of elder abuse? Who should come to this event?
Yep. It is, anybody is welcome to come. I think we all have people in our family who we consider, older, or, we're caring for a loved one. So if you're caring for a loved one, or if you're caring for somebody, or if you are older and you want to protect yourself, you are welcome to come.
And it will go from 12:45 at Steele until when?
It'll probably be about an hour and a half.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. And then we also have another event in Mandan coming up on June 15th, and that's open for anybody from the Bismarck-Mandan area is welcome to come. It just happens to be in Mandan. And we'll be having a similar program with the law enforcement, Attorney General, and then Adult Protective Services. We'll have door prizes at both events, and we'll have sweet treats and coffee for people. We also have a mini health fair, kind of with information about the different services that are available in the community if they're wanting to get information.
And where in Mandan will that be hosted?
That will be at Edgewood Vista, which is located at 2801 39th Avenue Southeast in Mandan.
And that's June 15th at 2 p.m. And the other event, June 12th at 12:45 p.m. at the Steele Senior Center.
Yep.
Katie, what are some ways that people can prevent elder abuse? Because at United Way, we're really looking at the same goals as Department of Human Services, of course, is how to keep people in their home as long as possible. So what can caring neighbors and friends and loving adults do?
Yeah, well, I think one of the keys to preventing, seniors themselves can prevent in many ways, just being aware of the threats that are out there, especially with financial exploitation. That's a big threat to seniors. There's a lot of scams that are out there that they could be vulnerable to. Different mailings asking for money. The grandparent scam is a big one where people are calling, pretending to be a grandparent and asking for money. And There's Jamaican scams, people calling and asking for money, send this much money and then we'll send you a prize, that type of thing. And
I just told my father because he's, thinking he's going to win the clearinghouse someday. And we're still holding out hope. But someone just was contacted in North Dakota saying that they won Publishers Clearinghouse and was asked to give their bank account information.
Yep, and just being really aware that those are scams, what to look for. There's an IRS scam out there right now where people are pretending to be the IRS, asking for personal information and to send money. The Attorney General's office is definitely the expert in that area, and they actually help to prosecute those types of criminals. So they're going to be giving a lot more information at our events about those. Making sure one other thing you can do is shred your personal documents, making sure that you're not getting personal information out there. And then as a loved one caring for someone who is older, just making sure that you're checking on that person, making sure that you're asking questions, how they're doing, watching, if they have staff working with them or people in the home, just really being aware that financial exploitation can take place by people that you love and trust, and just being aware of that by caregivers or family members.
Well, and what's so sad is that only 1 in 4 cases are reported. So we need people to really not feel uncomfortable. If they have a concern, see something, say something.
Yep, just get the word out. Yep.
Absolutely.
And so again, if they were to call you, where should they call your office at?
They can call the Aging and Disability Resource Link hotline. You can call this number to report elder abuse and then also to get information on services. It's 1-855-462-5465.
And that's option 1 for services, option 2 to report
abuse. Yep.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So if people listening are interested, they will be at the Edgewood Vista in Mandan on June 15th at 2 p.m. They'll also be out at the Steele Senior Center June 12th at 12:45 p.m. A special thank you to Katie Schaefer for talking to us about what we can do to prevent elder abuse in our community. We'll be joined in just a few minutes by Pat Weinberg. You're going to learn more about Grow. Come join us. Talk to you in just a few.
Right now, 70.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at 2, only on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back. You are listening to United Way's Community Talk, and I am Jena Gullo, your host for this fantastic community program, really highlighting issues and fun, important topics like we're going to be talking about right now. Co-hosting with me is Ms. Amber Jensen, the Operations Director at the United Way.
Good morning, everyone.
And this is really fun and of interest to me. We have a master gardener, Pat Weinberg, who's joining us today. And I'm of particular interest to this as of 2 years ago when I bought a house. My first house, actually, and the entire front yard and the entire backyard are gardens. And I know nothing about gardening. And so now I'm learning there's even a master gardening program. Pat, thanks for being on the show with us.
Thanks for having me.
What does it mean to be a master gardener?
It's a process that you go through the North Dakota Extension Office, and it's a series of classes that you have where there are experts that come in, mostly through NDSU, and you learn a lot. You ask questions, you try things, and then you're asked to give back 48 hours to the community in service.
Would I qualify as a recipient? I'm a charity case when it comes to gardening. I don't have that green thumb, Pat. So how long does that take to become an official master gardener?
A year.
Wow.
Yeah, a year to do that.
Do you have to test and everything?
There are tests online, but it's kind of an open book test.
Neat.
So that helps because you find out how much you don't know along with new things all the time. Yeah.
I now know the difference between a perennial and an annual.
That's the beginning.
That's pretty exciting. But Pat, you're really here to talk to us about Grow. Tell us what this program is and why you created it.
Well, Grow is gardening recreational opportunity with friends, and I started it after I completed the master gardening program because you're asked to give back to the community. And at that time, I thought, well, what would be a beneficial project? And I have a son with a disability. And since he's moved out of the house, like most 26-year-olds, his diet isn't what it should be. He doesn't have as much exercise as he had. So I thought, if Luke would benefit from this, there would be other people with developmental disabilities that would benefit also. So started about taking on a plot, a 20 by 20 plot, and asking some friends to help me be mentor gardeners, and that would just be helpers. And happened to be all educators, happened to be all retired, so we had the time to do it. And we started asking some of the young adults that we knew with developmental disabilities. We also went back to some of the students that we used to have when we were teaching and asked if they would be interested. We came up with five developmental or adults with developmental disabilities as gardeners, and we started our program. And we had success last year, and my stick for success would be, did they want to come back? And yes, they all wanted to come back and do it again. So this year I was able to write a grant through the Developmental Disabilities Council so that we could expand and grow our program. So this year we are trying to double everything. We've doubled the size of our plot. We're trying to double the size of our gardeners with developmental disabilities, and also the number of mentors that we have.
Wow, that is just amazing. So can you describe what are some of those benefits that those individuals that are helping out at the gardens, what are they benefiting?
Well, we're hoping to become healthier, of course, and we have access to our fresh foods, affordable foods. We're always talking about how this is going to save you money. A package of seeds is going to cost you $2.50, and it will grow many tomatoes where, a dozen, or not even a dozen, a half dozen tomatoes in the grocery store is going to cost you probably $5-6. Better food choices. It creates an opportunity to socialize and to be outdoors, get a little bit of exercise, and it also helps us all to develop a sense of pride and working and being part of the community.
Oh, I bet. What an interesting opportunity. And so what do the participants actually do?
Well, we start with preparing the garden. We have to do all the planting, which we have completed now. And then it's taking care of the weeds and trying to mulch and try to stay ahead of all the diseases that are out there, and to take care of the critters. We often get have rabbits or deer or raccoons that are in the garden, and so we're trying to get to our produce before they do. And then we get to harvest. And this year, because of the grant, I was able to hire a it used to be home ec. It's now called consumer science teacher. And she is doing a cooking nutrition class once a month for us, too. So we're actually going to be preparing the foods that we grow and finding a healthy way to prepare them and eat them.
How exciting. And so we are talking with Pat Weinberg. She is the creator of the Gardening Recreational Opportunity with Friends program, GROW. Pat, are you looking for volunteers?
I am. We have 17 gardeners with developmental disabilities.
No, King, you went from 5 last year to 17 this year.
And unfortunately, I had to turn away some people because we just don't have the space or the mentors that we need. So hopefully we'll keep growing, and that will be better next year. But I am looking for mentors. We would like to have 4 more mentors, and it would be an hour of volunteer service either on a Tuesday or a Thursday evening from 6:30 to 7:30. And the mentor really just partners up with our gardeners and helps them with all of the jobs that need to be done in the garden. And we're looking for, somebody who likes people, who likes to be outside, who wants to garden. You don't need to be a gardener to be a mentor. You just want to have the desire to go do those other things. And of course, we just ask that sometimes you might have to demonstrate how to do one of the jobs, and then you're there to encourage and have fun and get to know everybody.
And so how do they contact you, Pat, if they want to become a mentor?
They can call me at 222-0854, or they can email me at samawe@biz.midco.net.
Excellent. We will put those numbers on our Facebook page as well. But if you want to get a hold of Pat and be a mentor, that number again is 222-0854.
So, Pat, give us an update. Is your garden planted?
Everything is in.
Wow.
We've worked around the cold weather and the rain. Our lettuce is up and our onions are
Your
up.
lettuce is up already? When did you start?
Well, a couple weeks ago.
Oh, my gosh.
Right.
I'm so behind.
Go ahead and plant it. It'll come up.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're really excited. So everything is in, and now things will start shooting up little bit by little bit.
Do you have any tips? You mentioned rabbits. I just took down my fence on my garden. And so in the meantime, before I get my next fence, what's the trick for keeping those rabbits out?
Well, one of the things that we've done is on the perimeter of our garden, we've planted onions and marigolds all the way around. And so that's supposed to be one deterrent, possibly.
I've heard the marigolds thing. I might have to try that.
Marigolds. I had not heard that. Huh. I know what those are. So, Pat, there are some other partners who are helping you with this project. You had mentioned that the North Dakota State Council on Developmental Disabilities. And are there some other partners that you'd like to mention?
There are. Designer Jeans is our fiscal officer. So they've been very supportive. We meet for our cooking and nutrition classes at the First Presbyterian Church. So they've offered their facilities. Of course, through the NDSU Extension Office, I've been able to go there for calendars and other things. And then just those good friends of mine that have been able to volunteer and enjoy working with adults with special needs.
And so are those cooking classes that are held at Presbyterian Church, are those open to anyone or just the participants in the program?
They're just the participants in the program.
That's awesome service that you guys are providing, and a good addition
Are you
to
hiring,
not just
but
growing it, but then what do you do with once you have that food already produced?
Yeah.
And again, that number to get a hold of Pat if you're interested in volunteering with the GROW program, which is Gardening Recreational Opportunity with Friends. That number is 222-0854, and they are currently looking for 4 mentors to do 1 hour a week, either on a Tuesday or Thursday evening from 6:30 to 7:30. So very small commitment. If you enjoy being outside, working in the garden, have maybe no knowledge of the garden and want to learn yourself, this is an excellent opportunity to help Pat in the GROW program.
And we have a lot of other volunteer opportunities. Go on to volunteerbizman.com or like us on Facebook. We'll keep you updated. We currently have a victim of domestic violence who she and her baby are living in a 3rd floor apartment, and it's going to get really hot up there. If you have an old air conditioner that we can throw in a window for her, give us a call. We're at United Way, 255-3601. We'd like to thank Town Square Media, thank Jim Walsh, and a special thank you to Super Talk 1270. Join us in just 2 weeks from 11 to 12 Tuesdays, or just come by our office, help us pack some backpacks. Let's make sure kids don't go hungry over the weekend. We appreciate your support, and thanks for listening. Have a good week.